Welcome back to GBRANZ, welcome back to London. We are here with Justin Marshall as usual, and this week, a legend of the game, another legend of the game, former skipper for the All Blacks, Sean Fitzpatrick. Thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thank you very much.
Nice
to be here.
Good to have you on the show, Fitzy.
It actually reminds me, being here with Marshy, 1997, I was in Dublin last weekend. In 1997, it was Marshy's first game as captain. And we roomed together.
We did.
What did you teach him? Because he didn't do that well.
He had a lot to teach,
No,
that's
we won
for
that
sure.
game. We won that
We
game.
won that game, yeah.
That was a good start anyway.
No, it was like, honestly, to be bestowed as captain. Now, Fitzy was just struggling with his knee, and basically we were always hopeful that he was going to play, and he got right up until game day to play. But Hardy came and said, look, if he doesn't play, you're captain. And I went, what the fuck? Honestly. And we had
like we all did.
Yeah, we had some legends in that team, and it was like, but they obviously supported me, which was great. So it was always like I just felt like caretaker week, waiting for Fitzy to play. But unfortunately, he had to keep bowing out because his knee was just no good. So,
And I've just had it replaced, Marshy.
yeah.
Oh, so you're making a comeback.
Full knee replacement, so I'm back.
You gonna put the boots back on?
Put the boots back on, maybe. No,
Good work.
I don't think so.
Where are you now? Because that's what everyone will be wondering. Like, what's Fitzy doing? You living over?
We live here in London. Came here 20 years ago for 2 years. And we're still here. Yeah, we enjoy it. And we get back to New Zealand every year, and we're still doing that. So sort of come back for Christmas, which we love. Go to the beach. And a lot of my time here now is with Laureus, which is a sports academy, and a Sport for Good Foundation, which we're very involved with, and it sort of takes up most of my time, and a bit of rugby.
It must have been, is it quite weird to think that, like, literally your life has changed? Like, here you are, you know, All Black captain, playing for Auckland, really entrenched in New Zealand as a culture and a society, and then all of a sudden you're, like, to a degree, kind of British. Like, you've rocked up here in your car.
Well, I do have.
We're all like, how the hell do we get to this place? We're on tubes and all that. You're just driving here, like you're a local. Like, how does that? Like, do you still, obviously you're definitely 100% still a Kiwi, big time, and you can tell it in your passion when you're talking about rugby or talking about New Zealand in general. But 20 years is a long time.
It's a long
and your
time.
Kids have all grown up here.
Kids have all grown up here and left us now. They're living in America now, so we're sort of empty nesters here now. But we enjoy it. It's been quite challenging, I suppose. When we both turned 40, when we did turn 40 20 years ago, it was sort of a case of, you know, it's like when you're in the All Blacks, you travel a lot, but you never really get to enjoy places.
Yeah.
And so we said when we turned 40, let's go and have a sort of
Sabbatical.
a late OE.
Yeah.
And took the kids out of school, brought them over here, and they ended up going to school here, and we sort of ended up staying here, and, you know, a bit of TV work, and, you know, just sort of evolved, and you sort of get into the groove of it, and we love it. It's you know, it's quite challenging at times.
Yeah.
But I think having the, you know, place still back in New Zealand is like you know, you sort of go back for, you know, 6 weeks and you get revitalised and get a touch of Kiwi.
Yeah.
And then you come back here, you know, like this month here now that you're here. It's just phenomenal.
It is great, isn't it?
All the rugby, and, you know, during the summer they have the Olympics up here.
Yeah.
Sailing. It's been quite, you know, it's been exciting.
The Laureus stuff, like, what do you actually do for them? Because I know you pop up all the time.
So we've got we started initially in 2000 with World Sports Awards, which we still do. So we had our 25th edition in Madrid this year in April, which is, there's 69 past sports people. And we select this, you know, there's 7 categories: sportsman, sportswoman, comeback of the year, breakthrough of the year, sport with a disability, action sport, team of the year. And as the academy, we pick the current champions, basically. So that's the sports awards. And then from that, we have a Sport for Good Foundation, that we use sport as a mechanism for change. So Nelson Mandela was our founding patron, came to the awards in 2000 and said, you know, sport has the power to change the world.
Is that where he said it?
Yeah, that's where he started, that great speech he made. And
what a ripper!
He'd actually said that did the speech at the awards, but 2 days before he'd come to the hotel we were at.
Yeah.
And Johan Rupert, who founded Laureus, he said, your founding patron will be Nelson Mandela. And we went, oh, that's fantastic.
That's okay.
That'll work.
And then the door opened, and in walked the greatest man I've ever met.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah. And he said to the athletes in the room, there was 35 founder members. And there was probably 30 of us there. And 2 Kiwis, Sir Peter Blake, the late Sir Peter Blake, and me.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And he said, you're some of the greatest athletes in the world. You have a great voice, and you have the power to change the world through sport. So all our projects, we have 300 projects globally that we support in 45 countries, and all of them have a sport-based project. They're all sport-based projects, and almost 100% of them are children at risk. So like in London here, we have 5 projects here in London. So we use boxing a lot, use rugby, football, just to get kids into the classroom. We say the classroom's the rugby field or the boxing ring. And once you get them in there, you've got an opportunity to help change their lives.
man. Through sport, you're getting these kids in the classroom. It's clever.
What was like Nelson Mandela like to have a chit chat to? So obviously, I was very fortunate to meet him like you, and I just think, what a special moment. But that's on the rugby field where I think he's just said good luck with a wink for the test match. But like when you've actually in a room with him and maybe have a bit of a chit chat to him, what kind of?
I can't remember. I don't think I even had a chit chat to him, Marshall.
Right,
I was just hello. The World Cup final. We shook his hand. I've got a great photo of him shaking my hand. But what I loved was he was holding this part of my hand. Which I thought was pretty cool. But were you at Ellis Park 8 weeks ago?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was there. Yeah.
And it was a breakdown of it. This is what Laureus is all about. This is what Mandela was all about. It was the 30th anniversary of the breakdown of apartheid in 1994.
Of course.
Yeah.
And in that stadium, do you play in 94?
Oh, no.
So we played in 94. 100%, almost 100% of the team was white. 95% of the crowd was white. 30 years, only 30 years from what Mandela did in 1995 when he wore the oppressor's jersey onto the stadium.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the most powerful thing I've ever seen. And in the space of only 30 years, I'm sitting in the same stadium that I played at 30 years ago, and the team now is 75% whites, blacks, coloureds.
Yeah.
And the crowd, 75%, if not more, whites, blacks, coloureds. Just in the space of 30 years.
Isn't that
That's
short?
purely through Mandela in terms of uniting a nation. Sport has the power to change the world. One team, one country. I'm going to wear the Springbok jersey. How powerful is that?
Yeah.
That is cool. And that's our sport. So at Laureus, we use multiple sports.
You know when you're in the Laureus room and like there's various athletes come through, like
I get a buzz. I'm still pinch myself because I've got that imposter syndrome as most of us have.
Like I went once. I think it was in Barcelona.
Yeah.
I went only the once to the Laureus that year. The All Blacks were up for Team of the Year, so I was kind of a representative. But I was basically on the gravy train. But like meeting like the Klitschko's and all that sort of carry on, and you're getting your photo taken with the old boxing. But like you're mixing in those circles.
Like last night we had a UK based dinner just for 4 or 5 of us. But at dinner was Daley Thompson, who was one of my heroes growing up. So Steve Redgrave. They're a greatest Olympian. Jess Innes-Hill, Dame Jess Innes-Hill. Tani Gray-Thompson, the Paralympian racer. And who else was there? And that's I'm just sitting there. Oh, man. Brian Ivana.
Brian Abana, he pops up everywhere.
I'll tell you what, does he what?
But so that's me. I still pinch myself. I do. And to be the chairman also is really cool.
But do you find that everybody, like all the sporting entities, come together? Everybody is equal, or some of them kind of walk in the room and
no, they're all team sport people. the cricketers, and there's quite a few cricketers, a lot of football guys.
Yeah.
But even the Michael Johnsons of the world, Edwin Moses, they're all just they all join Laureus because of the Sport for Good Foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They like to, if you go to the awards, you have to vote. That's one thing you have to do is vote. And you attend the awards. But the big thing that changes their life, changed my life. Just some of the projects I've been to is just mind blowing.
What way did it change your life?
I went to Sierra Leone in 2005, and I went with Tony Hawk, the skateboarder.
There are two names I do not put in the same sentence.
Yeah, exactly. So what was great, so I took a rugby ball, he took a skateboard. And we went to Sierra Leone. It was the breakdown after the Civil War, where they're using children as child combatants, basically. Using them as children as shields to fight behind. And I'd never seen anything like it. Like these children that were, the rebels would come to the houses at night, pull the kids out of their bedrooms and say to them, right, you're coming with us to fight. And if they didn't go, they'd chop off one of their hands, literally. So in 2005, after the breakdown, there's all these children running around with one hand. I was like, oh my God. And the project we were there supporting was a project called The Right to Play. And basically they were saying to these children, you have the right to be a child. You have the right to play. And to have Tony Hawk, to see the smiles on their faces when he's got them between his legs on a skateboard. And the smile is just phenomenal. And then I had them doing a haka. But they didn't know who I was. They didn't, which was nice. They didn't know who Tony was. But it's just the power of sport. It was just saying to them, you kids, you've got the right to play sport and enjoy life. So things like that.
That's so cool because you often can get sucked in by sport being quite trivial.
Yeah.
Like a win or lose game. It's a game. It's just a game. But then when you take it on a deeper level, like you're doing, and actually making it mean something, that's really special. It's really powerful, isn't it?
Another one, just this is a quick one. This American couple were going through northern India and Rajasthan, and just backpacking, and came across a village where 100% of the girls in the village, 100% of them were child brides. Child brides, so that's 12 and under, probably 15 and under, and 100% illiterate, because the boys are the ones that learn how to read and write. They looked after them. These two thought, this is not right. So they stayed in the village, set up a little school, and started bringing these girls in and started using football to get them involved, and turned it around. Basically, started to educate them, and I think in the space of 2 or 3 years, the literacy was, 75% of the children could read and write, and there was no child brides. And they came to our awards. They were the projects that won the award that year. And I was interviewing one of the girls on stage, and it's called You Are. You Are is the project. And I said, what's this like being in Monaco? And she said, Sean, the biggest thing for us as children now in our village, he said, we can now dream.
Yeah.
We can dream. Because before there was no point in dreaming, because we couldn't read and write. We were going to be a child bride.
It was
dream.
Life.
Of us.
Yeah.
We just, dreaming is just natural. Where it's just, and through sport, they can now dream. So that's another good one.
Jeez, yeah.
Shit, that's good.
Yeah. So all these projects, 300 projects globally, we don't have any of our own projects. We support projects. So Billy Graham in Wellington and Nai, we support them. David runs it for Billy now, the son, and a phenomenal boxing project in New Zealand. What they're doing, have you seen what they're doing?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
and they're setting up multiple programs around New Zealand, which is cool. So they're a really good one. So I don't know if you've ever been to Nai, to the boxing project, to Billy's. That's where Billy started, and it's literally open doors. And the kids, there's 3 programs a day for the younger ones, the older ones, and then the oldest ones. They come in 3 times a day, 3 different programs, but the doors are just open. You just wander in, and you sign up, and you get your gloves on, and you learn how to box, not scrap.
not scrap. It's such powerful work.
Just when we thought we had interesting lives. And Rock's Fitzy onto the couch. It's like, well, yeah.
It's cool. It's cool.
You can see why you get out of bed every day. That's for sure.
I was going to ask you about your rounds at St Andrews over the weekend, Marshy, but it just seems completely irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant, isn't it? It's like, yeah, bloody hell.
What we probably should do is also talk about the rugby over the weekend, and also sort of dig into a few of your old stories as well, because I'm sure you've got plenty. Let's start with the Wallabies, because what did the commentators say? One of the greatest moments in Wallabies history, and it belongs to Jorgensen.
I thought when Greg Cornelson scored 4 tries at Eden Park was quite a cool day for us.
Or when George Buddy knocked the ball out of Goldie's hands, which he loves hearing about, so that's why I've mentioned it, by the way.
But I was quite blown away by that. I thought they might be competitive because their starting 15 is not bad, but wow.
Su'ili?
It's a big result.
Far out, he played well, didn't he? Yeah. Like, I had my doubts, to be honest.
Well, have you seen? I'd never even heard of him before.
Yeah, seen him play rugby league. Saw him play Origin this year, and he got
Origin.
He got sent off. He got sent off.
Did he?
He took Reece Walsh's head off in the first few minutes. Reece Walsh was dipping. He's about that far off the ground. And Su'ili's come steaming in, shoulder to the head, like pretty much both horizontal, and taking his head off. But and then he was gone. So but he's there's part of it is also, I think, with Su'ili is that he was almost like a secret weapon, because they hadn't been able to scout him. They didn't know he was going to do all those offloads, but like he is doing
this aerial stuff.
Yeah, it was amazing
at the kickoff.
Oh, wow! And just winning that ball back, you know what it's like as captain, or when you got coaches just saying to you after points, make sure you get your kickoff right and then exit. But when you got some guy that's coming through who can run the 40 metres in 3 seconds flat, and is 6'5", and he's got spring. He's a big lad, and then he's winning the ball back. It's like, coach, what the hell can I do? But like amazing. I think having him in their team is a bit like when we had, and you had plenty of them as well. Yeah. Real influential people in your side, like for example Jonah. Yeah. Like Jonah just has to poke his nose into the back line, and as a defender, you actually have to consider him whether he gets a fucking ball or not. Because, if you don't and he does get it, then you're not prepared. And I think what Su'ili did was he had the ability to do that, which enabled heaps of other players around him to play well. But I think Callaway played well.
They wouldn't have had any idea who he was, though.
No.
In terms of it, there's nothing to watch.
No.
In terms of how do we defend against this guy and what he's going to do.
Tom Wright played phenomenally well.
Wright, but when you got a threat like that, that's everybody else becomes more functional, and I think that was really evident. But like Fitzy always told me, and he'll always will, and until the day he falls over, is the fact that it always starts up front.
But they did actually. They did a good job.
I was going to ask you, do you think
I thought they were? You can see a bit of Joe Smith coming through in terms of the simple things done quite well.
Yeah.
Angus Bell.
My God, didn't go. Wow, that's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what we're producing now. Guys that can scrummage, but they can also run with the ball and good feet. It's feet work. My God.
Yeah.
So I think they're Grand Slam maybe.
Oh! Fitzy, a little bit of background for you, because Jeremy Poole, former Wallabies hooker, he usually sits where you're sitting on the couch.
This is what you're supposed to say.
Oh, is that what he said? Is that what he said?
He said that. Yeah. He also said everything that Marshy just said about Su'ili.
He did actually.
And you laughed at him. No, we both laughed at him.
We did, yeah.
But if they have no injuries, if they have limited injuries in the next 3 weeks, they've got a real chance. What's their big threat? Is Ireland, obviously.
Oh, obviously Ireland.
And I thought Scotland.
Scotland and Italy, they played well.
They played well, actually. I thought they had opportunities. They'd taken a couple of those opportunities.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Well, he put it out there, Ming the Merciless, and which he calls himself, self-appointed nickname, but he put it out, Aussie Grand Slams, and we put it on.
I would never have said that on this time last week.
Well, he said it about a month ago, and honestly, about a people said, "Does this guy know anything about rugby? What a load of shit!" But obviously, they've now knocked over England in the first test.
Wow!
So, and now you've mentioned it. That's why we went, whoa.
And you look at England. England.
Oh.
They could be 3 wins. Against us.
Yeah. Yes. They've been in the contest.
Yeah, and then last week against Australia. which is a bit like the All Blacks, really, in just in terms of that game management, the experience of being in that environment, being in that situation. And listening to Borthwick, they're maybe a bit confused at the moment with what they're trying to do. They're trying to play this expansive game with Marcus Smith. And then I think they actually make mistakes. Like in terms of their off the bench, like moving Marcus to 15, and he was the best 10 on the field.
Yes, he was.
It's 2 weeks in a row he's done that now.
He was massively creative.
Well,
like he got
Marcus.
He got them back in the game, didn't he? With that little grab a kick through and to slide home, I think it was, or whatever. But he's got more influence here, hasn't he?
3 weeks ago, he played at 15 for Harlequins.
Yeah.
Terrible. It didn't work.
Right. Yeah.
So they bring forward on, and then put Marcus back to 15.
Yeah.
And he gets caught out.
Yeah.
In that defensively in the, so I just don't know why Borthwick has done that 2 weeks in a row with Marcus.
It hasn't worked, has it?
What is the chat around Borthwick in England?
Marsha, you're on the
pressure
more than me. You
Wow.
I think he's, he could quite easily, as I said, he could have beaten the All Blacks 3 times this year.
Yeah.
He didn't. But
so they've lost.
It could be quite a different narrative if he won those games, if he had beaten Australia.
4 test matches on the bounce, so that's what people talk about. But to be fair to Borthwick, like those 4 test matches are All Blacks, Australia.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly with the greatest respect.
And Australia has also played the All Blacks, South Africa.
Yeah.
And that was England's second game.
Yeah.
Since the summer. So
if you have been getting up to watch the games, it is the perfect chance for you to try out the new Angel Bay gourmet breakfast beef sausage patties. Have you heard about these?
Fitzy, there's a little bit of advertising for you. Yeah.
Is that Angel Bay in
New Zealand? It's in New Zealand.
What, in Canterbury?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful New Zealand beef and lamb.
Yeah, nice.
And the patties are gourmet and they come part cooked as well, so you can chuck them straight onto the barbie.
Cooked?
Yeah,
Really?
straight onto the barbie.
So they're frozen, but obviously they're partly cooked. And
yeah.
so when when Bronny's away,
Cook yourself a nice sweet meal with some gourmet beef sausage patties.
Sounds good.
France this weekend, that'll be interesting. We'll get to that. But first of all, the All Blacks over the weekend.
well, we were both in Ireland for a start off, and we both looked at each other when we first met here this morning and said the same thing. It was good to bloody beat them out there because they were cocky all week.
Yeah.
And obviously there was niggle from the banter that had been floating around since, 2 years ago when they came out and did a number on us and then payback last year. So there was just a bit going on during the week, wasn't there?
It's quite unusual, really, because we sort of get on pretty well there.
Yeah, real good. Yeah.
So there's a bit of, you can see there was a bit of sort of stuff going on off the field. But yeah, I was really pleased. I've sort of been following the All Blacks quite closely this year.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, Marshall, you haven't really, I don't think many people have actually spoken about this. This whole setup now is totally new.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time to get it going.
Agree.
Because you think we've had Graham Henry, Hanson, followed on.
Yeah.
Then we had Foster, followed on. Same management group.
Yeah.
Same manager.
Yeah.
And this year it's been a total change.
Yeah. Yeah.
With everything, coaching,
The lot.
management,
Yeah, the lot.
and the players.
Yeah. It's been a clean out.
So I think
feels good.
Yeah, it does. It feels there's a lot of energy within the team. You know, they're learning, like the stuff when we were at Ellis Park, that last 20 minutes. That is a learning experience. Unless you are there, you just don't know. And when you think it's the start of a 4-year cycle,
Yeah.
you know, you look at the way Mackenzie played.
Yeah.
What happened at Ellis Park?
Yes.
You know, to say, right, oh God, that was a major learning for me.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah.
He said, now, you know.
Yeah.
And the way he played on Saturday,
Yeah. Brilliant.
just phenomenal.
And the way that he played maturely, like we know he can play razzle dazzle. We know that he
But
can.
that's game management. That's what that's what he's learning.
And that's what he needed to learn. Yeah. And I thought at the weekend, you know, when probably sometimes he would slightly hesitate, he just pulled the trigger on thinking, no, I'm going to play territory here. Or no, I'm just going to distribute early and then reset or whatever, instead of trying to be like making a line break every time he touches the ball. And then again, like what we're talking about before with Australia, when that person's functional, everybody else becomes better for it. And yeah, you're dead right. Like, you know, I thought that they were they were when they needed to. They'd come a long way from what they learned, particularly in South Africa, where they were in both of those Test matches. In fact, you know, that team between 2011 through till 2017-18 with those experienced players.
Just learning, just all learning. You just think about our time. You get better.
You do.
You know? You just get better, and you feel more comfortable in situations.
Asafa Amua, what are your thoughts?
I thought, you know, to play 75 minutes at Twickenham, I thought he was outstanding. His ball carrying is phenomenal. Question mark over some of his line-out throwing, but to be honest, on Saturday he had one bad throw.
Yeah.
But I think he's been outstanding, and we're lucky to have him. You know, to lose Cody was a major blow at Twickenham, and then for what he did, you know, against Ireland. But the tight five, I just like looking at those props.
Yeah.
Just, you know, they're all putting pressure on each other. Our scrum's good, line-out's good, breakdown works well. We've had good ball carriers. To have a suffer there as a serious ball carrier, along with, you know, the props. You know, I think, you know, and then you bring on Paddy Toops, and you know, we're
just punching holes in the game.
But that's good though. That's,
like,
you know, and they're all putting pressure on each other. They're, you know, so yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, you get a player like Asafa Amua coming through who you didn't really pick at the start of the season as your number 1, 2. You got a similar sort of ride in, didn't you? Because
well, I do. I just had an opportunity. You know, my first test was because, you know, Bruce Hamara got injured. So that was because the Cavaliers were there, obviously.
Actually, just talk to us a bit about the Cavaliers piece, because a lot of people would have either forgotten or won't know who they were.
So the Cavaliers were the 1985 team, the All Black team that were meant to be going to South Africa. That tour was cancelled. Then in 1986, that team became the Cavaliers, and they went on a rebel tour. So they got banned for 2 games, and which was against France and Australia, first test of the Bledisloe in Wellington. And then, you know, 12 of us got an opportunity. So
The Baby Blacks.
12 of us made our debuts. We had Kirky as our captain, David Kirk. I think JK.
I was going to say, there wasn't many that didn't go. JK was another one.
JK and Kirky didn't go. That was it. Arthur Stone, Kevin Borovich. It was Kevin Borovich, me, and Brian McGrattan in the front row against the Five Nations champions. We still look at each other after the game. How did we beat them? We had Gordy McPherson.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Mike Brewer was number 8. Mark Brooke Cowden was the...
Wow.
Then we had Kirky, Frano.
Arthur Stone.
Was
Joe centre?
Joe Stanley. We made our test.
Smoking Joe.
Yeah, so that's
coming
my
in
story
at 32
too.
years old. No,
he was, but he was.
He would have been. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, 29 he was.
Okay.
And then Greg Cooper at fullback, Terry Wright on one wing.
Terry Wright. How was he like the build of an All Black? Like
72 kilos.
My gosh.
Because we used to get weight.
72 kilos, 73 with his moustache.
Yeah. And a couple of pebbles in his pockets on way on Mondays when he weighed in. Yeah, but it was amazing. Now, Brian Lahore, you know, because we assembled on Wednesday for that game.
Wednesday before a test.
And I can still, training in the afternoon, I can still remember Brian Hall sort of looking, shaking his head, thinking, God, what am I going to do here? And by Friday, he'd turned the team around.
What was training for you? Was it just an Auckland grid or what? Just squares?
No, we just a few Henny Mullers to warm up. We had live scrummaging.
Did you have training kit? What was rock up?
We had to bring our own. You might have had to bring your own jerseys for training, I think. In those days.
This is the All Blacks we're talking about, not the Barbarians.
We had no. I didn't have a blazer. I had to wear my Auckland blazer.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't have because I hadn't played. But yeah, it was strange, but it was great. It was phenomenal. Just because in those days when you got your All Black jersey, because there was no replica jerseys, so the only way somebody got an All Black jersey. So I was like a kid in a candy store. When I walked into Brian Lahore's bedroom, because he presented in the morning of the game, you get presented with your jersey, and BJ presented me with my jersey, and he said, he said to me, he said, Fitzy, congratulations, you're All Black number 871. this is your first All Black jersey. Make sure you make a mental note of that feeling. Every other time you pull it on, recall that feeling. It's just phenomenal. It's just cool. Wow, I still remember it as if it was yesterday. And walked out of the room and he went, oh, there's one more thing, Fitzy. He said, you're now an All Black. You're expected to win. Which is cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It must have been weird running out there and because the public and everybody were like...
They had no idea who we were, and I can still remember standing in the changing room at Lancaster Park, and the door was open. Our door was open. The referee knocked and opened the door, and we were sort of standing in a huddle because we didn't put our arms around each other in those days. And Kirky was giving us the, come on, boys.
A few people were putting their durries out.
I remember turning around. The number 8 was a guy called Rodriguez. Remember Rodriguez?
Yes, I do.
Oh, he was the scariest looking man I'd ever seen. And I can remember turning around while Kirky was giving us our pep talk. And I turned around and Rodriguez was standing at the door sort of growling at us. I'm like, God, just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we played against Australia. We lost 13-12.
Tight one.
Yeah. And we should have actually won that game. And then the second test down at Dunedin was when the Cavaliers could come back in.
Now, that must have been the weirdest thing.
And I went round to Mum and Dad's on the Sunday morning. I think firstly, so Mum could wash my All Black jersey and hang it on the back clothesline so all the neighbours could see it.
Stayed out there for 3 weeks.
And we listened to the team being announced on the radio. And they said there's been 8 changes to the All Blacks for the second test in Dunedin. The whole forward pack had been replaced.
Oh.
The whole forward pack.
Get the jersey back in.
But I'd made the reserves. I was still the reserve. Because Andy Dalton was injured. He had broken jaw.
Yeah.
And Hickory came in for me, which I was like, wow. But I was still in the reserves, which for me was like, oh, wow.
How old were you, Fitzy? Sorry.
22.
Yeah, shit, you're young, eh?
So I remember going down there. I was in Dunedin, and then meeting, John Ashworth, Gary Knight, all these. My God, when I was a kid growing up, I was like, wow, Jock Hobbs, and they'd all come back in, and I was just happy just to be there, really.
And did anybody? Was there a bit of awkwardness with the guys that had been baby blacks and then the old school that had obviously had to stand down, so they would have got the shits about that for a start off?
There was a lot of, I don't know, if you remember, there was a lot of unrest in New Zealand.
Yeah, there was.
The public were really unhappy. Everywhere we went, there was protesters because of these guys.
Because of the Cavaliers.
Yeah, because of the Cavaliers. So every time we were on a plane, every time we, going to the game even, night of the game. I remember in Auckland, the third test, was staying at the Paonamu, and the protesters were outside the hotel all night, just making noise. But it was just, and that's what was so great about '87.
Yeah,
was actually trying to turn the public,
get the country behind, and it's probably good timing for a World Cup, to be fair.
Yeah,
to have it in New Zealand.
Yeah,
and have this common goal,
That's what Brian Lahourt said. He said our major challenge is to get the New Zealand public back on site. So we're going to go into all the schools. We're going to get billeted.
Tell me about that. That's quite interesting.
Oh,
I used to hate getting billeted.
Oh my God.
It's the scariest thing to
cry. I don't want to go.
So we played our last pool game was down in Wellington against Argentina. And then we were going down to Christchurch to play the quarterfinal against Scotland. And so on this Saturday night, we had a good night. Sunday morning, BJ said, Brian Lahore said, we're going to pop over the Romatuckers and we're going to go to my local pub in Ekatahuna called the Lakeside Pub. Oh, what a lovely way to spend a Sunday. before we go back to Wellington to hop on the plane down to Christchurch. And so we over the hill down and we arrive at this pub, the Lakeview Pub. And there's all these utes there with bales of hay on the back, barking dogs. Just the car park was full. And then we go into the pub and it's full of mums and dads and all the kids. And we're like, oh, how nice. Come on, Buck, bring the guitar in and Stevie, get the game. So a bit of that.
Yeah.
So we had a few pints and it was fantastic. And then just, 4 o'clock comes, BJ stands up and goes, right, boys, Fitzpatrick and Lowe. you're with the Harris family. We're like, what? So Lovey and I, they put their hand up, and then Lovey and I go over there, hop on the back of this ute, and we bound off down the gravel road to their house, and we had a night there. And we're sleeping in single beds, Lovey and I. Oh, it's fantastic. And then the next morning, wake up, have breakfast with the kids, and, it's fantastic. It was really perfect. Because no one would do that. Like now, not now. But
You could do that now, though. You could do that now.
Can you imagine the parents?
Yeah, it's great. I think it's fantastic. They should.
Who are driving down the road and they're looking in the rear vision mirror in the back seat. There's Richard Lowe and Sean Fitzpatrick. It's just like a couple of new kids for the house.
Oh, but some of the stories, when then we all got back together, I think the next morning, we met, a couple of the families came together and we had a brunch together. But some of the stories are just amazing. And, I still see the family that billeted us occasionally in Wellington.
Do you? You keep in touch with them?
Yeah, which is just amazing.
That's so cool.
Isn't it?
They should definitely do that now, eh?
Yeah.
Get the boys out there in the community, get them billeted out, send them to Ekatahuna pub.
Ekatahuna.
But the problem is like social media nowadays, like my guess would be a bit, like having a few beers and doing your thing and have some fun. Like you just.
But the guys loved it. We all came back together and,
Bet there's some great
some
stories.
of the stories and, just good humour. Good laughs and.
Gosh.
So what was that final like, Fitzy?
In
87.
So we beat Scotland. We actually beat Scotland. That was probably one of our hardest game, actually.
Yeah.
And we beat them by 30, whatever the score was.
Yeah, they were quality back then.
Yeah, they were good. They had a big
boys
team.
Yeah.
Then we went, and then we beat Wales and Ballymore by quite a bit.
Oh my God, was it the
Buck?
if you don't know that story, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh wow, look, Fitzy knows it better than me, but honestly, it's one of the greatest punches you've ever seen that a guy got away with.
Yeah, Gary went and I think elbowed somebody, and then that guy punched Gary, and then Buck just came over the top, and King hit this guy. And knocked him out.
In front of everybody, the referee, the touch judge, and all the other players, and everyone just stood there and went, that was a good punch.
And he's sitting on the sideline, and the guy's splashing water on his face, and he comes to. And then the referee came over with a red. No, were there cards in those days?
Yes, it was
Did he have a red card?
I think it
no,
was.
Or just sent him off. Just said, right, you're off.
It is Buck. Knocked this guy out.
Because he started it.
Oh, that's how justice should be done.
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? Like the retaliator always gets penalised usually, but it's incredible footage. Like the fact that Buck didn't even get spoken to, and he's literally knocked this guy out. Yeah, so that was a semi, wasn't it?
So then we watched France play Australia, and Australia. Don't forget, Australia just beaten us the year before on a Bledisloe.
Yeah, not long ago I'd done a Grand Slam.
Australia had a really good team, and France beat them.
Is that the
Blanco
one
scored in the corner?
When Campese was, Serge Blanco was going for the corner.
Scored in the corner, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone was...
Tommy got him.
Yeah.
But we all cheered. When he scored that, we were watching it together because we wanted to play France.
Yeah.
We didn't want to play Australia.
Yeah.
And, we had a bit of payback for France. That was in 86 they beat us in the last test, in that Battle of Nantes.
Yes.
And that was it. And I think once again, as it happens in World Cups, they'd probably played their final in the semi, and we were ready.
What do you remember about that final?
Because
by now you'd also got the New Zealand public back on side.
So the stadium. So we played at Eden Park. Opening game of the World Cup against Italy. There was 17,000 people there. That's all.
Really?
Yeah. And then the final, I think it
was full.
40 odd, whatever it held, 50,000 is it, or 45, whatever it held.
Nearly 60
capacity. But I do remember, because it was played on a Saturday, and there was a sign on the terraces. A Michael Jones fan. Thank God the final's on Saturday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, not Sunday.
Well, because we had Zinni on, and he said that he got to start his first test because Ice couldn't play on the Sunday.
That was like Argentina.
Yeah, because of his religious beliefs.
When you think about sort of people like him, Michael, we were just a team. We were just playing the game at a different level without us even knowing it. Like we were fit. Fitter than everyone else. We played this expansive game, and we had a guy like Michael Jones,
Had a hooker playing on the wing.
Hooker playing in the wing. I don't think I did in those days, but we had a great set piece, had a good line out, and most of us had played together. Auckland was pretty strong in those days, and there was a lot.
They were very strong.
We had a good front row: Stevie, myself, and Drakey, Gary Wetton, Murray Pearce, AJ Wetton, Buck, and Ice.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What a good forward pack.
What a massive forward pack.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. We weren't actually that big.
No, but I mean massive as in like massive names. It's such a good. It's all
we
iconic
just had
players.
I don't think we had any real superstars. Probably other than JK, who scored that great try. But you think David Kirk did his job brilliantly. Foxy,
Methodical.
unbelievable, just precise everything he did. Warwick Taylor, just the glue. Just the glue. Joe Stanley, good distributor. Craig Green, so no one talks about Craig Green.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. JK, and then we had Kipper at fullback, John Gallagher, which, the year before he was a policeman in Wellington,
Yeah. That JK try, that must rank up there as one of the greatest All Black tries. You were on the field for that. It was against Italy in the opening game, wasn't it? Is that the greatest try you've ever seen on the field?
Probably.
Or putting you on the spot?
Probably, it was pretty good.
Let's not
JK
publicise too much. It's pretty fucking average tackling as well. JK's good, but what did he beat like 9 defenders, didn't he?
Yeah. But that sort of set the World Cup, that sort of got the World Cup going, really.
Yeah.
This new breed of the way we were playing the game, where traditionally New Zealand didn't really play like that. We didn't. The backs didn't score many tries.
So going back to the games from the weekend, did you watch the Scotland game, Marshy?
Yes, I did, actually, Andy. And I actually was at Murrayfield. So what was really unique about me going to Murrayfield was I'd been watching the Wales-Fiji game. But then I was like, oh, shit, I need to get to the stadium. Yeah. But this is getting really interesting. Like Fiji had Radradra sent off, but they're still in the contest and still in the fight. And thank God, in the wisdom of, World Rugby, they've actually finally decided on that red card being only penalising the team for 20 minutes. So you knew that Fiji were going to be restored and we're going to have a contest again.
Is that not if it's a blatant red card?
Yeah. If it's an act of violence or foul play, then you can't come back.
And that wasn't?
No, it wasn't. No.
Wow.
Yeah. So they got.
So there's still the original red card where you can be gone and can't be replaced. Right?
Yeah, but that has to be really extreme now.
Yeah.
And that'll just be straight red. They won't go through the yellow to red system. So anyway, it was really spicy going. I had to leave to go to Murrayfield because, you do that big walk up to Murrayfield. And that can be quite tedious. So I wanted to keep watching it. So I was like, how am I going to do this? Bang, got the NordVPN.
Oh.
So there we go.
NordVPN, they're partners of the podcast, actually. And if you want to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to NordVPN link in the description to this box, and you'll also get 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Yes, and the link is in the description.
Is it like a dongle?
No, it's just basically, it's an app. And
I did the
sign
same.
up for it, and and then obviously it ended up being an amazing result for Fiji. Poor old Wales, but because you would have played with Gats, did you?
Gats, yep.
Do you still?
I haven't seen Gats for a year or so, but he's under a bit of pressure now.
He's under
on
so
the
much pressure.
Yep.
I feel sorry for him because, you look at Wales over the last few years, and everyone's talked about it over here relentlessly, that they've got nothing coming through, that the regions are poked. Whatever you want to say about the coach, he's probably just at the end of that clusterfuck, for want of
And Fiji are not a bad team. This week they had everyone back, right?
Exactly. The week before against Scotland,
To a
they had all the
sofa.
European players out.
Poor us. Yeah.
Imagine playing to a Sova.
Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then let's look ahead to this weekend's game against France. Because that's huge for Scott Robinson, isn't it? Because he's just starting to get some traction, and what we all hoped we'd see from Razor's impact we're starting to see. But if he beats France, it's a huge tick in his box.
Yeah, and look, I guess to put my 2 cents worth in, because it'll be really interesting to hear from Fitzy, because he probably played France more than me. We become a little irregular playing them for a while. I don't know why, but I always found them really easy to prepare for and pretty much, they weren't too much trouble to beat at home in my period that I was playing. But then when you played them on their own soil, and it's not just this speculative, the French on their day, because shit, it's actually true. Like, honestly, like they could be playing pretty average rugby and then bang, you go play them in Marseille and they grow an arm and a leg, couple of bounces go their way, and then they all just become incredibly in sync, you know, and then they're a handful, aren't they? Whereas they get away to a shit start, you get on top of them early, and their heads and their lips drop, and you can probably have a reasonably comfortable day out. So I just don't know where this current French team sit in that usual dynamic of, you know.
I thought at the World Cup last year they were the best team at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And they got beaten. But I look at the top 14. I think it's the best club competition in the world.
Easily.
And week in, week out, they play tough games.
Sure.
And they learn. And they've got some world-class players. And they've had one game. They played Japan, didn't they?
They played Japan.
Pumped them by 50.
So, you know, and they've got the best rugby player in the world in DuPont. So they're well led. They've got a great tight five. So good set piece. It's going to be a huge challenge for us.
Yeah, it is.
But this is what Scott Robinson wanted at the beginning of this year. He wanted 14 tests, is it?
15.
15 tests against the best teams in the world. And to do a tour like this, to play England, Ireland, and France, and then Italy, who are not bad either at the moment, although they got beaten up last week, is asking major questions about his team. And they're going to get asked big questions on Saturday in every facet of the game.
The good thing is they'll know where they're at, won't they, by the 1st of December? Like, South Africa back-to-back, we know how tough that is to play them over there. And then obviously the Bledisloe, which was a success, and that hiccup against Argentina. And then just as mentioned, playing the 5 top teams in the world, 15 test matches in a calendar year. You know, we've gone through some players. We've got some coming back like Roygard. By 1st of December, Scott Robertson will know exactly what he's got going into next year in terms of
how good's he?
Personnel.
Roygard.
Yeah, he's great.
Do you think he'll start on Saturday, or will they?
I think they were building towards him starting that one. Okay. I think they were going to obviously start him Japan, bring him off the bench for the next 2, get him up to speed with test match tempo, because the speed and the pace of the game, even the physicality, is just so much different. Even, you know, and when you're playing the top teams in the world from Japan, with the greatest respect, you know, because you can bully them. These Northern Hemisphere teams, you can't. But this is, mate, this is custom made for him, because he'll love taking on DuPont. You know, like he's a competitor, but he'll also challenge them around the breakdown a little bit more than Cortez. And I think they were just going to go sub start him against France.
They'll definitely use those two.
Yeah, for
Cortez
sure.
And,
I don't think they'll bring TJ back. But yeah, they're a handful. Like, I always remember my test debut, 1995.
Yeah.
Do you remember that week very well? That was the second test. We lost that first one in Marseille.
Oh, yes.
And it was Laurie's last test as All Black coach.
That's right. Was that your first test?
Yeah, and Pinetree's speech.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So I'm like 22, I think, only just turned 22 in August. And I'm sitting in this room with
acting like a 15-year-old.
What did you think about Marshy when he first came in? We'll come back to that.
15-year-old.
But he was acted like a 15-year-old.
And I'm sitting in this room and with these legends. It's a bit like when you went in. And for me, it's the same thing. I think every All Black that's young that goes in has that real sense of, oh my God, look at this changing room or this team room that I'm sitting in. Like, I've been watching these guys on TV playing for the All Blacks, playing for Auckland or whoever, and then you're kind of this surreal feeling. And anyway, so we've lost this first test, and Pinetree's the All Black manager, not coach, and it's Laurie's last test. And I'm sitting in this room, and oh my God, he gave us an absolute bollocking. Like, no one was safe. No one. I think there's a group of us, like me, Tane Randall, and a few mates, and that we got accused of being too relaxed and a little bit I think he said, and you're a bit fucking headstrong. Like that. I just went like this. Yes, sir, Pinetree, no problem.
I was sitting next to our sign logo rep.
Oh my God.
We used to have Steinlager reps on that tour with us, right?
In the changing rooms.
No, everywhere. He was part of he had the kit on and everything, right?
Yeah.
So, and then he said, and then he looked at, I won't say his name.
Yeah.
He looked at him, he said, and as for you. He stood in this Steinlager, and he went, why don't you just F off?
Really?
Out of this room now. And he looked at me and said, what do you think I should do? I said, I think you should.
But he gave it to Laurie.
God. And he gave it to us.
He gave it to Laurie Mains.
Oh, mate, he gave it to Laurie in front of the team. Yeah, he accused him of not being focused enough and all that sort of carry on. And man, it's unbelievable. The funny thing about the Steinlager rep was, like, in our day, so this is our day, but more these guys' day. Yeah. So it's still amateur, until 95. Yeah. So still 95, 96. Yeah. We're starting to transition, but we've still got the old school values. So nowadays, like they literally, when they take a container away on tours, like usually we'd probably pick up a scrum machine, but at best we'd take a scrum machine from New Zealand because these guys wanted their own equipment, whatever. Take some tackle pads and then a few other things. In the modern day, they'll take TV screens, like probably a golf cart so they can carry the TV screen around, like ice baths and all that sort of carry on. And
Like 40 tons of equipment.
Physio, yeah. We used to take maybe one scrum machine, a couple of tackle shields, and 3/4 of a pallet of three of Steinlager.
Yeah.
So it was the container's full of piss. Yeah. So it's not full of rugby equipment. It's the sociability. So yeah, look, and so Pinetree gave it to us, and then that training run after that. And also he had a crack at Jonah for eating too many eggs at breakfast.
That's right.
And that pissed Jonah right off because he felt that he wasn't overeating eggs at breakfast. And man, like the carnage.
We beat them.
Yeah, the carnage at training, but then bang, like it got a response. And that's I think with that, if you take that attitude into the French, that was just massive physicality, and the guys were just like, we're just going to get stuck into them.
But I think they've changed in our day.
No Steinlager rep in there.
I think the French have changed. I think they're now seasoned campaigners. They play well at home. They love playing at home.
Yeah.
So they're going to be. It's good. It's a good challenge for us. And I think the All Blacks now. This is what I think is to get England out of the way, to get Ireland out of the way is a massive. Imagine if we'd lost to England.
Yeah.
That would have been a terrible way to start, the tour.
Yeah. I think that Ireland scalp was massive.
Yeah.
I think it was actually massive for Scott Robertson as a coach. Like I spoke to him after the game, and it just felt like the pressure valve had been released.
Yeah.
Because like anything, if you're a player and you're under pressure, you're going to play a little bit, within yourself and a bit insular. You're equally going to coach that way, because if you try something massively creative and it doesn't come off, then people just get stuck into you again. I think the fact that we've knocked the number one team in the world over and then get excited about taking on the French and maybe see a little bit more of Razor's ability to think a little bit outside the box. We haven't seen any of that real massive innovation of line-out attack that you see with the Crusaders or anything like that. So I'm just hoping that it's now going to be like that release of pressure because he's been under the pump, hasn't he?
Well, I'll go back to what I said in terms of this is a new team, but the coaches, look, this is all new for the coaches.
Yeah.
Like going to Stade de France on Saturday night at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
It's different.
It is.
Preparing. All those things which these coaches haven't experienced it. Most of the coaches. Jason Ryan had last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Razor's never been there as the All Black coach.
No. Yeah, so mate, thanks for joining us. Just a couple more minutes of your time, but I guess probably you mentioned you've been here for 20 years. All the kids are out of the nest, and I guess probably the big question is you're heavily invested in Laureus, which is brilliant, but possibly could do that from New Zealand. Like any future plans to head back home, or you sort of entrenched here?
61 now, Marshy. So.
No, couldn't tell, mate.
So, the girls living in Los Angeles. That's we want to be sort of around them too. So,
sure.
I honestly don't know. We're spending more time in New Zealand, which we love. So we'll just keep on doing what we're doing. Really, it's sort of no set plans. But as you say, the world's becoming a smaller place, and you can can operate from most places.
Are you still involved at Harlequins?
Not really. I spend time with them.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, not really.
Yeah.
But I love going there. Don't you love going there?
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Stupid.
Oh, yeah. That's a good day out.
Fun. Yeah, it's a good day out.
Yeah.
But no, we're happy. We like being here.
Yeah.
Love being in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the All Blacks are up here next year again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
I was talking to a friend about you coming on the podcast.
yeah.
And they told me this story about their friends in New Zealand. They were like, "Oh my God, Sean Fitzpatrick, he is the most amazing man." And I was like, "Really?"
So was I.
I was like, "Is he?" And he's like, "Yeah, like our friend's son, Ben Buckley. I don't know if you remember Ben Buckley. So they messaged you because he's a massive All Blacks fan.
Right.
Massive All Blacks fan, massive fan of yours.
Yeah.
And they messaged you, and because he got leukemia.
Right. Okay.
And they said, "Can you send him a video?"
Yes.
And you sent him a video.
Yeah.
From the sideline at Twickenham. I've got the video. I don't need to play it for you now because it's basically you're just saying get well. It's a really nice video, but it made the world to them. So I messaged Rose, his mother, and said, "Do you want me to pass on a message to Sean?" And she was like, "Yeah, if you could." Do you want me to read you the text?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Or do you want to read the text?
No, you read it to me. That's good.
I'm a bit nervous. It's quite an emotional text to read.
Yeah, you'll be right, mate.
All right. Hi, Sean. These are some photos from our beloved son, Ben, on 15th of November 2018, as he listened and watched the video you sent him from Twickenham. Less than 4 weeks earlier, he had been admitted to hospital and diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia, which he was unlikely to survive. Chemotherapy was started 2 weeks after his admission to hospital. Before leukemia changed everything, Ben was a very fit 28-year-old cyclist, runner, skier, passionate rugby player. As he tried to make sense of all this senseless disease, feeling vulnerable and scared, he took comfort in the kindness of people he loved and admired. Your video was a very special gift. It made him happy. It gave him hope. Although Ben died 2 years later, our family will always be grateful to you, Sean. As one of Ben's sporting heroes, you cared enough to connect with him and encouraged him to stay strong. You touched his heart and ours with your words of kindness.
Wow, fantastic.
From Rose, Tom, Nick, and
wonderful.
Rachel Buckley.
Beautiful.
I'll show you these are the photos of him. We won't put it on screen, but these are the photos of him watching.
Oh, wow.
Watching and listening to the video.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Isn't that just amazing?
Yeah.
We talked about it with Laureus about how you can
sport.
use sport to touch people's lives, and something as small as sending someone a video like that made such a lasting impact.
We do,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
nice.
It's very humbling when you get messages like that, and God, you don't even think twice about it. It's the least you can do.
And I think as you get older, you sort of appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, Fitzy. Been awesome to see you, mate. Hey, I've got a Nickersy in as well.
It's in great nick.
His knee's back, so bloody hell, he's going to be even more dangerous on the golf course.
It's interesting. So I can get about 110 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Like this way.
Yeah.
And it's never been past 90 in the last 25 years.
It must be like having
new hamstrings.
Exactly.
He's making a comeback. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave us a review, and we'll see you again next week.